If you need recognition before you've earned your value, you're already broke. The psychology of poverty isn't just in the wallet, it's in the mind that needs attention to feel worthy. Success is not a public spectacle, it's a private ritual. It's the habit of working like hell in silence when no one is cheering, when no one's watching, when the only prize is the person you become. Because the moment you learn to embrace that silence, that solitude of sweat and sacrifice, you break free from the chains that hold most people in place. In this moment, right now, your mindset either elevates you or condemns you. Let me show you how this silent work isn't just labor, it's the greatest form of rebellion against mediocrity, poverty, and the voice inside that says, I can't. Stay with me, because what you hear next could change everything you thought about success and failure. Let me take you deep into a truth that's as simple as it is profound. Starve your weaknesses, feed your strengths. It's not just a strategy. It's a habita way of life that separates those who live in struggle from those who live in success. I've witnessed this in my own journey, and it's a lesson hard-earned through years of trial and error. Early on, I realized that the distractions of life, the emotional roller coasters, the wasted hours chasing fleeting pleasures, they are the silent killers of dreams. The poor in this sense aren't just those without money. They are those who give in to every whim, who let their emotions dictate their actions, and who compromise their future for the comfort of the moment. Think about failure for a moment. Most people react emotionally. They let disappointment hit them like a storm and then watch as it sinks them deeper into doubt and despair. I used to be that man, frustrated and blaming circumstances. But somewhere along the way, I learned that failure is just feedback. It's not a personal attack. It's a signpost showing you where to adjust your course. Instead of reacting emotionally, I began to observe failure with a calm mind and a steady heart. When you starve your emotional reactions, you stop feeding the fire of regret, anxiety, and fear. You create space to learn, to grow, and to try again with more wisdom. This is a disciplinia choice every day to refuse the temptation of feeling sorry for yourself and instead focus on what you can control, your response. Now, starvation isn't about deprivation in the traditional sense. It's about selective intake, choosing carefully what you allow to enter your mind and consume your time. Hours slip away like water through fingers when you indulge in things that feel good but produce nothing. I know the lure, TV shows, endless scrolling on social media, conversations that go nowhere, distractions dressed as leisure. These things can be poison disguised as pleasure. The successful don't waste time on these. They understand that time is a non-renewable resource. When I was starting out, I made a decision to guard my time fiercely. I turned down invitations that didn't align with my goals. I said no to idle chatter and yes to books, mentors, and activities that built me up. This ruthless focus isn't showy or glamorous. It's quiet. It's often unseen, but it's the heartbeat of progress. Compromise is another trap that weakens the spirit and the wallet alike. I've seen it too many times. People who set lofty goals but then water them down with excuses and distractions. I'll start tomorrow, maybe next week. I'm too tired today. Every excuse chips away at the foundation of your dreams. The poor compromise because the pain of discipline feels worse than the pain of regret. The successful, however, learn to hold fast. No compromise on the things that matter, not on the small steps that lead to growth, not on the daily habits that form character. I remember when I was determined to improve my speaking skills. I committed to practicing every day, no matter how tired or discouraged I felt. That commitment was not for applause or recognition, but because I knew that consistent action without compromise would move me forward. This kind of focus demands something powerful, ruthlessness. Not the kind that hurts others, but the kind that refuses to let your own weaknesses hijack your progress. It means saying no to distractions that others indulge in, often publicly and noisily. It means working quietly, humbly, but with absolute clarity and determination. It's not about being pretty or popular. It's about being effective. Your results don't come from flashy displays or loud promises, but from the quiet, relentless effort that others don't see. The truth is, feeding your strengths requires knowing them. Too many people chase what looks good or what others tell them they should do. But success comes from honing what you are naturally good at, from developing your unique talents until they become tools of influence and value. When I found my voice and started speaking from genuine experience instead of mimicking others, my message resonated deeply. I fed that strength with study, practice, and persistence. Meanwhile, I starved the urge to compare myself to others or to dabble in things that drained me. This journey isn't easy, but it's worth it. Starving your weaknesses doesn't mean ignoring them. It means refusing to give them energy. Feeding your strengths means nurturing the gifts you have with discipline and intention. When you live this way, success isn't a distant dream, it becomes your everyday reality. And that is the habit that separates the poor from the prosperous. Remember, this is your silent work. No cheers, no applause, just steady, effective progress. That's the difference. There's something deep inside each of USA's spark that when kindled can drive us beyond what we thought possible. That spark is work ethic, but not just any work ethic, an unbreakable one. The kind that doesn't waver when the going gets tough, that keeps you moving forward even when every reason tells you to stop. Developing this kind of work ethic isn't about luck or talent. It's about commitment, discipline, and a way of seeing yourself in relation to your goals. In my own journey, I discovered early on that talent without effort doesn't get you far. I wasn't the smartest or the most gifted person in the room. But what I learned was that if you consistently show up day after day and put in the work, even when you don't feel like it, you build momentum that no setback can stop. This kind of work ethic becomes a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it grows. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is often simply how much they're willing to push themselves beyond comfort. To develop this unbreakable work ethic, you first need to understand what you're working for. Clarity of purpose is the fuel that keeps the engine running. When you know why you're doing something, when your goal is connected to a deeper value or vision, it becomes easier to push past excuses and distractions. Without that, work becomes a chore, and the temptation to quit grows. But purpose alone isn't enough. You have to make work a non-negotiable part of your daily life. This means showing up even when motivation is low or when distractions are screaming for your attention. It means creating routines that support your efforts, whether that's getting up early, setting specific goals for the day, or eliminating time-wasting activities. The discipline to keep going, especially when no one is watching, is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. I remember the early days of building my career. There were moments when I felt like giving up, when the progress seemed slow and the setbacks piled up. But I had made a promise to myself that quitting wasn't an option. So I kept grinding. I studied harder, worked longer, and focused more sharply. Over time, that consistent effort created breakthroughs. What once felt impossible became natural. Another key to building unbreakable work ethic is learning to embrace discomfort. Growth never happens inside the comfort zone. When you're willing to face challenges head on, to endure the hard days, and to keep going despite failure or criticism, you build resilience. That resilience is what separates the successful from the mediocre. It's the quiet strength that holds you steady through storms and keeps your eyes on the prize. Importantly, developing this work ethic means valuing long-term gains over short-term pleasures. It means delaying gratification, understanding that the sacrifices you make today, whether it's missing a night out or pushing through fatigue-year investments in the future you want, this mindset shift is critical. When you see work as a pathway to freedom and opportunity rather than as punishment, the effort becomes empowering. Finally, surround yourself with reminders of your commitment. Whether it's mentors, books, or daily affirmations, keep your goals visible and your purpose clear. This support system reinforces your drive and keeps you accountable, especially when your own willpower falters. The truth is, an unbreakable work ethic is the foundation upon which all achievement is built. It's not flashy or glamorous. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's the habit that over time moves mountains. When you cultivate this ethic, You don't just get closer to your goals, you become the kind of person who can handle whatever success demands. So, start today. Make the decision to show up, to push through, to embrace the hard work quietly and consistently. That commitment is the difference that separates those who dream from those who do. Time is the one resource that's truly equal for everyone. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what you do, you get the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle often boils down to how well they manage those hours. Maximizing productivity isn't about working longer. Ours, it's about working smarter and making every minute count with intention and focus. One strategy I've found invaluable is treating your time like money. Just as you wouldn't spend your cash recklessly, you shouldn't waste your minutes. Every moment has value, and when you start thinking that way, your choices change. You begin to guard your time carefully, prioritizing activities that bring you closer to your goals and eliminating distractions that steal your focus. In practice, this means planning your day the night before or first thing in the morning. When you write down your priorities and specific tasks, you create a roadmap that guides your actions. Without a plan, it's easy to get lost in busy work tasks that fill your day but don't move the needle. With a plan, you know exactly what needs your attention and can measure progress as you go. Another critical piece is learning to focus deeply on one task at a time. Multitasking is a myth when it comes to productivity. What feels like juggling many things often leads to lower quality and wasted energy. Instead, immerse yourself fully in one important task. Give it your complete attention and then move on. This single-minded focus creates momentum and often leads to faster, better results. There's also the discipline of setting boundaries. This can mean saying no to meetings that don't add value, limiting time on social media, or creating a workspace free from interruptions. Protecting your environment so that it supports your productivity is crucial. I learned this the hard way in my early days when distractions derailed hours of work and left me frustrated. When I started controlling what entered my space both physically and mentally, I noticed an immediate improvement in output. It's equally important to recognize your natural rhythms. Some people are sharpest in the morning, others late at night. Align your hardest tasks with these peak energy times. If you know when you're at your best mentally, use those windows for your most demanding work and save simpler or routine tasks for lower energy periods. This strategy respects your body and mind's natural cycles and maximizes efficiency. Taking breaks may sound counterintuitive when talking about productivity, but it's essential. The brain wasn't designed for prolonged focus without rest. Short, purposeful breaks refresh your mind and prevent burnout. Even a brief walk or a moment of deep breathing can recharge your mental batteries, helping you return to work sharper and more engaged. Technology can be both a blessing and a curse. Using tools to automate repetitive tasks, schedule reminders, or block distracting sites can be powerful allies. But unchecked notifications and constant digital interruptions can sabotage your best efforts. Managing your digital environment with intention is part of mastering productivity. Finally, regularly reviewing your progress is key. At the end of each day or week, take a moment to reflect on what you accomplished and what didn't go as planned. This self-assessment creates awareness and allows you to adjust your approach. Productivity is a dynamic process, not a fixed state. Being flexible and learning from experience helps you refine your habits and keep improving. Throughout my life, these strategies weren't just abstract ideas, they were practical tools I applied in every stage of my growth. From working multiple jobs early on to building a career and mentoring others, managing my time wisely was non-negotiable. I learned that it's not how many hours you put in, but what you do with those hours that shapes your success. Mastering productivity is about respect for your own time, your goals, and your potential. When you treat your minutes as precious, you create a rhythm of work that propels you forward steadily and surely. Remember, the journey to success isn't a sprint, but a steady march, and how you use your time determines how far you'll go. Make every minute count, because time is the currency of achievement. There's a force far more powerful than talent or opportunity, and that's purpose. When your work aligns with your deepest passions and values, It stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming a source of energy, motivation, and fulfillment. Too often, people grind away at jobs or projects that leave them drained, disconnected from any greater meaning. But when you tap into a purpose bigger than yourself, work transforms it, becomes a calling. In my own life, I've seen this truth play out time and again. Early on, I took whatever work was available just to make ends meet, and while the money helped, there was a hollow feeling underneath. The real breakthrough came when I started focusing on work that reflected who I was and what I believed. Suddenly, the long hours and tough challenges weren't just obstacles, they were steps towards something that mattered deeply. That shift in mindset made all the difference. Purpose acts like a compass that keeps you on course, especially when the journey gets tough. Everyone faces setbacks, distractions, and moments when giving up seems easier. But if your work resonates with your values and passions, you'll find a wellspring of resilience inside. The challenges become fuel rather than barriers, pushing you to grow and persevere. There's also a profound psychological effect when your daily actions are connected to your purpose. It ignites what psychologists call intrinsic motivation, meaning you don't rely solely on external rewards like money or approval to keep going. Instead, you find joy in the work itself, and that joy sustains effort over the long haul. I've watched people burn out when they chase success without a sense of meaning. But those who anchor their work in passion have a sustainable drive that outlasts any external circumstance. Aligning work with purpose also sharpens your focus and productivity. When you know why you're doing something, distractions lose their grip. You become more selective about where you invest your time and energy. Instead of scattering yourself across a dozen tasks that don't matter, you concentrate on what moves you closer to your vision. This clarity not only accelerates results, but also protects your mental and emotional well-being. It's important to recognize that finding your purpose isn't always a grand, instant revelation. For many, it's a process of exploration, trial, and reflection. I encourage you to pay attention to what energizes you, what problems you feel called to solve, and what values you want to express through your work. Sometimes, it's as simple as aligning your current role with those things. Other times, it means making a bold change. The key is to keep moving toward what feels authentic and meaningful. Purpose doesn't just benefit you, it ripples outward. When your work is aligned with your passion, you create value that resonates with others. Whether it's customers, colleagues, or community, the energy you bring can inspire and uplift. This kind of impact feeds back into your motivation, creating a cycle of growth and fulfillment. I've seen countless examples of people who discovered their passion for teaching, building, healing, creating, or leading. When they embraced that purpose and let it guide their work, their efforts multiplied, their success deepened, and their lives felt richer. It's not about chasing a vague dream, but about tuning into your inner compass and letting it direct your steps. At the end of the day, the most rewarding success isn't just financial gain or status. It's living a life where your work and purpose dance together. That harmony breeds satisfaction that no paycheck can buy and fuels a commitment that outlasts temporary setbacks. Find your purpose, align your work with it, and watch how your energy, focus, and results rise. Because when passion and work unite, success is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. Obstacles, self-doubt, and fear, these aren't just roadblocks on the journey to success, they're part of the journey itself. Everyone who's ever achieved anything meaningful has faced these challenges. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that they avoid these struggle sits, how they respond to them. I remember early in my own path, there were moments when the weight of doubt felt overwhelming. Questions crept in. Am I good enough? Will this effort ever pay off? What if I fail? These thoughts could have stopped me cold, but I learned something crucial. Doubt and fear are signals, not verdicts. They alert you that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, and that's exactly where growth happens. The first step in overcoming these internal battles is to acknowledge them without surrendering to them. Instead of running from fear or pretending it doesn't exist, face it head on. Name it. Understand what it's telling you. Often fear is a sign that something valuable is at stake. and that alone can motivate you to push through. Obstacles in the external world are no different. Whether it's a lack of resources, unsupportive people, or unexpected setbacks, challenges test your resolve. The poor see obstacles as permanent walls, reasons to quit or complain. The successful view them as puzzles to solve, opportunities to learn, or at the very least, temporary delays, not dead ends. One thing I found deeply powerful is shifting the question from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I learn from this?" Hat quote. That simple change moves your mindset from victim to creator. It turns hardship into a teacher. Each setback becomes a chance to sharpen your skills, adjust your approach, and build resilience. Self-doubt often feeds on comparison and unrealistic expectations. When you look at others' successes without knowing their struggles, it's easy to feel like you don't measure up. But remember, every person's path is unique. Focus on your own progress, no matter how small. Celebrate the small victories. Each one chips away at doubt and builds confidence. Fear, when respected but not obeyed, can actually become a source of strength. It heightens awareness, sharpens focus, and pushes you to prepare better. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action despite it. I've seen this time and again in my own life and in those I've mentored. The moments of greatest growth always came when I leaned into fear instead of away. It's also important to surround yourself with people who uplift and challenge you. Supportive relationships create a buffer against self-doubt and fear. They remind you of your potential when you forget it yourself. At the same time, don't expect others to carry your motivation. You must develop internal discipline and belief. Practical habits can make a difference too. Daily reflection, journaling your progress, and affirming your goals keep your mind focused and reduce the noise of doubt. Visualizing success, rehearsing your response to challenges, and breaking big goals into manageable steps create momentum that fear can't easily disrupt. Remember, success is not a straight line. It's a series of twists, turns, and hurdles. Embrace that reality, and you'll be prepared mentally and emotionally to keep going. When the inevitable doubts and fears arise, greet them as old acquaintances who remind you you're alive, growing, and pushing your limits. The path to success is less about avoiding obstacles and more about cultivating the strength to keep moving forward despite them. The person who wins isn't the one who never feels fear or doubt, but the one who works like hell in silence, steady and unwavering, knowing every challenge is shaping them into who they need to become. Keep moving. Keep believing. The breakthrough is closer than you think. There's a secret that many overlook on the road to success, and that secret is this: your most valuable asset is not your job, your contacts, or even your money, it's yourself. The power of continuous self-improvement and lifelong learning is the force that separates those who get stuck from those who rise. When I began my journey, I quickly realized that the world never stops changing, and if I wanted to thrive, I had to keep changing with it. Imagine your mind like a garden. If you stop tending it, weeds of doubt, complacency, and ignorance will grow unchecked. But if you commit to watering it daily, planting new seeds of knowledge, and pulling out old limiting beliefs, you'll watch something extraordinary happen. That garden will blossom with opportunity and growth. Continuous self-improvement is that daily tending. It's not a one-time effort, it's a lifestyle. I've met people who believe once they have a degree, a certification, or a certain amount of experience, their learning is done. That's a dangerous illusion. The moment you think you've arrived, the world moves ahead without you. You've got to be a student of life forever. Read books, listen to mentors, attend seminars, and more importantly, apply what you learn. Knowledge alone is useless without action. One of the most powerful shifts in mindset is realizing that every challenge, every setback, is a lesson disguised in tough clothing. The person committed to self-improvement looks at failures not as defeats, but as feedback. What can this teach me? How can I get better? That's a lifelong learner's approach, and it's what drives progress. In my own experience, I found that consistent learning fuels confidence. When you know you're growing, even when things aren't perfect, you develop resilience. You can face uncertainty with curiosity rather than fear. And that curiosity opens doors because it keeps you adaptable. in business, in relationships, in health, everything evolves, and only those willing to learn evolve with it. But here's something crucial. Self-improvement is deeply personal. It's not about copying someone else's path or chasing every trend. It's about identifying your weaknesses and strengths honestly, then focusing your effort on growing where it matters most for you. This requires humility to admit you don't know everything and courage to commit to getting better every day. I've often told people, don't wish life were easier, wish you were better. That phrase captures the essence of lifelong learning. The world will throw problems your way. The difference is whether you're ready to meet those problems with new skills and fresh perspectives. When you work on yourself, you build an inner foundation that no external force can shake. There's a beauty in this continuous process. It creates a momentum that compounds over time. Small improvements daily turn into massive transformations. I think of it like a bank account. Each bit of knowledge, each habit formed, is a deposit that pays dividends. And the best part? The interest never stops growing. The key is to stay disciplined and intentional. Don't just learn for learning's sake. Set clear goals for your growth. What skill do you want to master? What attitude do you want to cultivate? What habits will you develop? Then build your daily routines around these goals. Make learning part of your schedule, just like eating or sleeping. When you commit to lifelong learning, you also become a beacon for others. Your growth inspires those around you. You raise the standard, not just for yourself, but for your family, your community, your team. This ripple effect is the true power of self-improvement. It lifts everyone up. So, if there's one thing I want you to take away, it's this. Never stop investing in yourself. Your future, your freedom, your success depend on it. Keep your mind sharp, your heart curious, and your hands busy building the life you deserve. The journey of self-improvement never ends, and that's the greatest gift you can give yourself. You see, many people believe that success comes from nonstop hustle, working every hour, grinding until there's nothing left. But here's the truth. Working like hell doesn't mean sacrificing your body and mind until they break. It means understanding the rhythm of hard work, paired with proper rest, the ebb and flow that keeps you going long term. If you want to build something lasting, something meaningful, you've got to respect both sides of that coin. When I look back on some of the most successful people I've known or studied, what sets them apart isn't just relentless effort, it's their ability to recharge, reflect, and come back stronger. Take someone like Thomas Edison, who worked obsessively on inventions, but also knew the value of sleep and stepping back to clear his mind. Or consider athletes who push their bodies to extremes but meticulously schedule rest and recovery because they understand that muscles grow in rest, not just in the gym. In my own life, I've seen the difference when I pushed too hard without pause. There was a time I thought that the harder I worked, the better the results no matter what. But after burning out, I realized that my effectiveness dropped dramatically. I was working harder, yes, but not smarter. The breakthroughs happened when I allowed myself to step away, rest, and come back with renewed energy and clarity. Balancing intense work with proper rest means being intentional. It's not about working endlessly. It's about working with purpose and then giving yourself the space to recover. That recovery can take many forms: good sleep, time with family, quiet reflection, or even just stepping outside for a walk. These moments fuel creativity and sustain stamina. Without them, your work becomes shallow and your spirit worn. Think of your energy like a battery. You can't just drain it nonstop and expect it to run forever. Successful people know when to unplug, recharge, and then plug back in with full power. They guard their rest as fiercely as their work because they understand that both are equally important for long-term achievement. Look at the stories of great entrepreneurs who built empires not by grinding 24/7, but by mastering balance. They work like hell in focused bursts and then retreat to rest, reflect, and plan. That's how they stay ahead, sharp and resilient. They don't fall into the trap of glorifying busy work. Instead, they honor the rhythms of their mind and body. In practice, this means scheduling your work like you schedule your rest. If you're giving 4 hours of deep focused effort, Make sure you give yourself an hour or more to decompress. If you're burning the midnight oil one night, follow it with a day where you prioritize rest or lighter tasks. Balance doesn't mean equal parts all the time. It means knowing what your body and mind need to keep performing at their best. This balance also protects your mental health. The stress of constant work without relief can lead to anxiety, self-doubt, and exhaustion. But when you include rest as part of your discipline, you build resilience against those pressures. You create a sustainable pace that fuels your journey rather than burns it out. So the lesson here is clear. Work like hell? Yes, but rest like a champion too. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. The people who reach their dreams fastest are often those who know when to push and when to pause. Your success depends on it. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Respect your limits, honor your need for rest, and you'll build strength to go further than you ever imagined.